Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Fast CPA and Consultants. I'd like to introduce our CPA, Fulton Abraham Sanchez. Welcome, Fulton.
Thank you, Sarah.
If you're visiting us for the first time a few months ago, we started this series, Tax Talks, where you send us your question and through social media or email. And today's topic is how to open an investment fund in the USA as a foreigner. So are we ready to begin?
Yes.
Perfect. First question we have. Do foreigners who open an investment fund in the USA have to pay taxes?
Yes, they pay taxes for the profits that they get or they receive from the trading that they do in the US. It's exactly the same as if you buy a property in the USA. If you buy real estate in the USA and you sell it, and there is a profit in that sale, you have to pay taxes. You have to file a tax return and then pay taxes on that. Same thing applies for stocks or funds. Usually a fund, when it's open, the fund has, according to the strategy, fund can invest in real estate, can invest in stock market, can invest in forex, can invest in Bitcoin, can invest in art, can invest in ongoing businesses. That depends of the investors. But we have to treat every single asset or every different kind of asset that the fund is going to invest in as an asset that is going to be taxable if the asset, when sold, produces profit. If there are profits, there are taxes. Now, in the case of particularly in a foreigner case, whenever there is a foreigner and the fund is formed as an LLC, that is basically the activity, not the activity, the corporate form, the corporate entity form that is of a preference. If the LLC, if the fund and the investment fund is open as an LLC, the IRS requires that all or every single foreign investor, foreign partner in that investment fund needs to report taxes, not at the end of the year, but every single quarter. That's a requirement that started in 2000, like 3 or 5 years ago. The IRS requires that LLCs, limited liability companies or LLCs with foreign partners are obligated. The LLC, not the partner, the LLC is obligated, the investment fund is obligated to withhold 15% of the profits, 30% of the profits of that foreign partner and submit that to the IRS. So it is not only that they pay taxes, foreign partners pay taxes in the for the investment activity, for the profits from investment activities in the USA. It is that in addition of paying taxes, they have to pay taxes in advance, meaning that every quarter from that foreign partner, 30% of the whatever the income is allocated to that foreign partner, 30% of that income is withheld and submitted or given or sent to the IRS in that particular quarter. Okay. If that is not provided, the IRS can impose penalties because there is a requirement and it's not being fulfilled. That's why it's very important that when you are considering forming an investment fund in the USA, you get all this information, and when you apply your strategy for investment, your investors, the foreign investors, know that they are going to be taxed many times, like 4 times in the year, and then at year end they will have to file a tax return to claim or to reclaim the monies that are withheld in excess from the IRS.
Got it. And our second question, how can I structure the investment fund to get the most benefit at the tax level?
Whenever you are dealing with foreign partners and you want to avoid taxation to the foreign partner, this is only for the foreign partner, because remember, for US citizens, they have to pay taxes, yes or yes. There is no way to, if you are a US citizen and you are dealing with investment, there's no way to avoid taxation. You can defer taxation, but you cannot avoid it. But for foreigners, is a little more complicated because, as I said before in the other question, they are going to be taxable at the 30% every quarter from the profit, not from the income, from the profits. Now, if you want to avoid or shield your foreign investor and investment fund from that withholding, you need to go offshore. You need to open a fund, an investment fund, that is going to be an entity in Bermuda, for example, or in Cayman Island. Cayman Island is very famous and is very prestigious for this kind of a structure. You open a structure in Cayman Islands, and it is the Cayman Island entity, the one that is going to do the investment in your investment fund in the USA. You are not going to bring, you are not going to make your foreign investors partners or the investment fund in the USA, because that causes taxes. You better place all of your foreign investors in Cayman Islands. And then the entity that is formed also as a fund in Cayman Island is the one that will receive the funds from the foreign investor, and that entity in Cayman Island is the one that is going to invest in the investment fund in the USA. Because of that arrangement, your foreign investors are going to be shielded from tax liability in the USA. So that's how you balance and you minimize the tax liability for foreign investors. Remember, but this doesn't work for US citizens. It's only for foreigners. US citizens, either they go to Cayman Island or to any other country, it's the same because they have US citizenship.
Got it, understood. So third question we have, what requirement must a person have to open an investment fund in the USA?
Okay. The first thing is you have to have an LLC or a partnership, an LLC. When this LLC, if you have only US citizens investors, they need to provide for a percentage of investment or percentage of participation according to the amount that is agreed and according to the amount that is invested. So that is the most basic thing for an LLC. Now, once you have the LLC, you have to create the operating agreement and the strategy to invest. What are you going to invest in? And all these documents, all these instructions need to be in agreement for every single, in this case, partner that you, or the owner of the LLC, or your investors. Once you have that clear, what you're going to invest in, you go and invest. Now, remember that whenever you are receiving money from third parties, the LLC needs to be accountable. If you invest in real estate, that's fine. You can handle it having the investment fund, and then you also need to open, in addition to the investment fund, where there is the one that receives the money, you will have to open a second company that is the one that is going to execute the purchase. So do not commingle or do not put all of the assets. If you have a strategy, you investing in different assets, real estate, stock market, ongoing businesses. If you have that in mind, always consider that if you put all of the assets into one single entity, is going to increase your risk, and you will need to take insurance, more insurance, liability insurance. So always consider that. Ideally, what I've seen is assets are purchased and assets are placed in one particular LLC. As I said before, you buy one LLC and then you put the asset, you buy an asset and then you put that asset in the LLC. That will create a separation from the fund and all the companies that are going to invest and going to own the asset. But the owner of those companies is obviously the fund. So you have the company that is receiving the investment and you have the LLC that are holding the assets. Whenever this arrangement works, for example, for real estate, there are cases where there are few owners and they decide not to separate the investment from the fund, and then the fund is the one that receives the money and also holds the properties. That's also fine, especially if there are two or three or four owners max. But then once you have that, or if you want to change you decide not to invest in real estate but in the stock market, whenever you are investing in the stock market, you must have two more companies. One LLC that will be the management investment. You have a fund, and the investment fund is the one receiving the money, but that is not going to be the one that is going to execute the investment. You need to open a second company that is the one that is going to give advice to the fund about what to invest. And the person who is the investment advisor need to be registered with the Security and Exchange Commission, because now you are going to the stock market, and anyone doing management and advising and buying a stock for a group of people in the USA needs to have registration with the Security and Exchange Commission. That is the requirement. And the person who is doing the investment also needs to open its own LLC for liability protection. So you have one company that is the fund, you have another company that is the investment advisor, I'm sorry, the investment management, and then another company who is the investment advisor, and that investment advisor needs to be registered with the SEC. That's the structure that you need to have in place with the objective of limiting the liability. Because remember, if you receive money from a group of investors and they trust you for the investment, you go and invest. So you open an LLC for investment management. That investment management company also holds an investment advisor. That investment advisor also opens an LLC with the only objective of, if anything happens and the investment fails, his responsibility is limited to the limited liability company that he owns. That's the objective of opening several LLC that are going to comply with different functions, is not only the protection for the investor, because the investment advisor is going to be responsible before the Security and Exchange Commission, meaning that he has to be qualified and got the respective licenses, the appropriate licenses. But in addition to that, the investment manager, the investment management company, and the investment advisor, they also need to be protected in case that the investments that are in the stock market, or the amount what the fund invests in the stock market, and it goes sour, they will be protected, because it will not be their responsibility, because the market fluctuates up and down, and that is not something that the investment advisor or the investment manager will be able to control. So That's critical. Make sure you have that. You have foreign investors. You have to have an investment fund in Cayman Islands, and then in addition to the one here in the US, and then the Cayman Islands needs to do the one that to execute the investment. Usually that company in the USA is going to be something that, I'm sorry, that company in that fund for foreign investor in Cayman Islands is going to be something that's called an exempt company, meaning that it's not taxable in Cayman Islands either, because it will be formed only for people who are not Cayman Island citizens, nor US citizens. So therefore they will not be taxable here or there, but they need to be in this exempt company in Cayman Islands. So we have, that's one. And then second, if you plan to invest, even though you have foreign investor, make sure you have an investment management company that is the one doing all the strategy and executing the strategy from the fund. And then within that company or with the company, you have an investment manager, but this investment manager also needs to be an LLC for limited liability protection.
Understood. And once the investment fund is established, can we carry out forex-related operations?
Yes, you can. The problem is that the Forex platform will not open an account for US citizens. That's the problem. Forex in Europe, Forex in other countries or continents will not deal with US citizens. You cannot go offshore or abroad to do Forex. You have to do it here in the US. Yes, you can. You can invest in Forex, you can invest in Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, you can invest in real estate, you can invest in notes, you can, whatever, whenever you are in agreement with your investor, you can invest. And that has to be in written. Remember, you have to put all that in written and all of them need to sign. This is a strategy, and then you make them sign for anything in the future. If anything happens, you have the contract. It's like an agreement. So you make sure that you have that sign, and then every single partner knows. In the future, when the fund grows, you do a brochure, and then in the brochure is detail the strategy of the fund. So anyone who wants to invest in your fund will know what you are investing in.
Got it. And our last question for today is, what is the correct structure to establish an investment fund in the USA that sends money abroad and can receive local capital?
It will be the one that we described at the beginning with the one in Cayman Islands. You open a fund and the investment fund here in the US, typically an LLC. Then you open an investment management company. It's the one that is going to manage the investment. And you also open a investment manager company. That is one who is going to execute and manage the investment from the funds. Once you have that structure and you have foreign investor, you also need an exempt company in Cayman Islands. So it will be the fund in the US receiving the money will be a master fund. It will be a master fund in Cayman Islands. This master fund send the money to the investment fund here in the US. So you have an investment fund in the US and an investment fund in Cayman Island. They are both what is called master funds. Once this master fund are formed and they receive the money, Cayman Island for foreigners, US fund for US citizens, then you create the actual fund, the investment fund. So this investment fund is going to receive the money from the master funds from Cayman Island and in the US, and is this fund the one that is going to invest. This fund will need two more things. Will need a fund management company and a fund manager or fund advisor. And these two entities are also LLCs. And the fund advisor will need to be registered with the Security and Exchange Commission. That is a structure that you need for a fund that will be able to receive money from US citizens, from foreign citizens, I will have no problem in sending and receiving money from US citizens or from foreigners, and also sending money outside of the US.
Awesome. That's all of our questions for today. Thank you, Fulton, for your time and information. If you have any more questions, just send them to our email or social media accounts. We have an exclusive private group on Facebook. We'll put the link down below. Remember to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.
Thank you.